horror Reddit stories, and Minecraft to listen to. My Uber horror story. I live out in a small town, but don't drive. Earlier this year I worked in the next town over at a fast food place. During spring and summer, I could ride my e-bike to and from. During winter though, I'd take the bus to work and take an Uber home when I'd need an Uber. Because it's a smaller town, about 20,000 people, there aren't many drivers at midnight when I get off work. So it booked before I start my shift, 10-11 hours before pickup. Worked like a charm and was never left stranded. Even in blizzard conditions, drivers would still show up. Until one day my driver didn't. Did it the same as always, booked before I went on shift. Saw that a driver accepted the ride on my first break and thought nothing of it. Midnight rolls around. Everything is shut down, turned off. I've got all my stuff. So I close the door and call the number to let them know to turn the alarm on. Walk around to the front and my ride isn't there. Check my phone, driver canceled. And I knew I wouldn't get another this late at night. And I can't afford a taxi until the auth clears or I get paid at 6 a.m. And my phone is dying very quickly. This was the oh crap moment. It was the coldest day of the year with feels like temps around 50 to see with wind. Gusts up to 70 kilometers per hour off the lake. Cold enough to give exposed skin frostbite in a few minutes. And I wasn't expecting to be out in that for more than a few minutes. As to say I was not dressed to be outside very long. All I had was a winter hat, my fast food uniform, a sweater, a jacket, a thin neck cover I used as a mask, and non-insulated cowboy boots. And all I could do to keep out of the wind was to tuck up against a wall. My phone didn't last long and I wasn't able to get a hold of anyone. So I decided to try to walk to the fire station and try to take shelter or get help or something there. But only made it a block before I turned back because of the wind. Stood in front of the restaurant doing jumping jacks and pacing to try and stay warm. Then decided to walk with the wind to the bus stop that has a heated shelter and is in front of a Tim Hortons that opens at 4 a.m. I figured it was around 1 a.m. at this point. 3 hours in a heated shelter seemed doable. Then I can go inside and wait for the first bus back home at 6 a.m. Walked and made it over to the bus stop. Went inside, turned the heater on, and that did absolutely nothing to help. I was still pacing around, doing jumping jacks. Just anything to stay moving and stay warm. But it was super drafty, so after a while just before 3 a.m. I couldn't feel my hands or feet and was violently shivering. So I decided to use the emergency bit of battery on my phone to call 911. Wasn't able to say anything after the dispatcher picked up before my phone died again. But they got my GPS ping and two cops showed up and got me in the car. Brought me to the paramedic station to get checked out. And they just told me to take a long room temperature bath. And the cops drove me home. I understand it's not Uber's fault that the driver canceled, but that's still their contractor. And knowing that he didn't so much as get a talking to after that annoys me. It's not even like the weather was bad. It wasn't snowing, the roads were clear. It was just extremely cold and windy. If you can't do the ride or do want the ride, don't accept it. Just to add insult to injury, Uber tried to refund me with Uber credit. Even after explaining to them what happened and asking for my money back in Canadian dollars. Not Uber credits, they still screwed me around and tried to get me to accept the credits. While knowing full well what happened, I did eventually get my real money back. I just don't appreciate being screwed around on a good day. Never mind after dealing with that bull again. If you're still watching up to this point, don't forget to like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated and would help out a lot. My worst nightmare, I still remember how real it felt. My girlfriend had told me earlier that day that she was going to visit her house in her colony with a friend. The thing is, I knew the colony where she lived, but I had never been to her exact house. It never bothered me before. As evening approached and she still hadn't returned, I called her. She answered. Her voice sounded normal. She told me not to worry and that she would be back soon. I believed her and waited. 30 minutes passed, then an hour. I called again. No answer. I tried once more. Still nothing. Then I looked at my phone and realized something that made my stomach drop. I had been blocked. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I called from another app. Nothing. I sent a message. It didn't go through. I had been blocked. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I contacted the friend who had gone with her. After asking several times, she finally told me something I wish I had never heard. There is someone else, she said. Panic slowly started taking over. According to her, my girlfriend had met another guy at a training center. They liked each other, spent time together, and had even held hands. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt heavy, and my mind refused to accept it. Without thinking, I ran out of the house and headed toward her colony. On the way, I met one of my closest friends. I begged him to lend me his bike. At first, he refused because it was getting dark, but when he looked at my face and saw tears in my eyes, he silently handed me the keys. I stared at the bike for a few seconds. Then I gave the keys back. I didn't want the bike. I just wanted to find her, so I kept walking. I reached her colony, but there was a problem. I didn't know where she lived exactly. I walked through one lane, then another. Every house looked unfamiliar. Every passing person made me wonder if they knew her. Hours went by. The sky turned dark. Exhausted, I sat in a small resting shed and began punching the bench out of frustration. A resident approached me and warned that I would be fined if I disturbed the area. Through my tears, I explained that I was searching for the girl I loved and that I only knew her colony, not her exact address. The man looked at me with pity and walked away. A few minutes later, 3 women passed by. They looked at me, laughed softly, and asked why I was sitting there crying. I explained everything. They exchanged looks and told me I should go home. But I couldn't. I stood up and continued searching. I walked through every street, every corner, every lane. I kept hoping that somehow I would find her. The entire night passed like that. My legs hurt. My eyes burned from crying. My heart felt like it was breaking with every step. Then suddenly, I heard birds chirping. A cool breeze touched my face. I slowly opened my eyes. I was lying in my bed. The room was calm and peaceful. It was only 5:30 in the morning. There was no sunlight yet, only the quiet stillness of dawn. I looked around, confused. Then it hit me. None of it had happened. The blocked calls, the other boyfriend, the endless search through the colony, the entire night of crying. It had all been a dream. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I lay there staring at the ceiling, my chest still hurting, because even after waking up, the thought of losing her still felt real. And for a few terrifying minutes, I couldn't tell the difference between a nightmare and reality. I hooked up with a guy at a bar. I think he put something inside me. I just got out of a pretty bad breakup about a month and a half ago. My ex and I had been together for a year before. I realized he was a total piece of shit and that there was absolutely no future I could see with him. I did love him, though. It was definitely hard to break things off. I spent a few weeks moping before deciding that I needed the sun again. I needed to socialize. That's how I ended up in the bar last night. I'd spent the night out on the town with some girlfriends, and all of us were already pretty tipsy when we arrived. My girlfriends were pretty loud and rowdy, and in hindsight, I'm a little embarrassed by the scene they were causing. Not to mention, that's what made him keep looking at me. He kept glancing over at our booth from his spot at the bar, and oh my god, I'd never seen someone so handsome. I couldn't even blame it on the drinks, because my girlfriends were admiring him too. He had this perfectly kept beard, a jawline that could cut diamonds, and I kept thinking his hair looked like Johnny Depp's in the movie Cry Baby. Even though he had for women absolutely swooning over him, it seemed like his interest remained on me. He was cutting through me with the most intense eyes I'd ever seen, and when he specifically bought me a drink, I had no choice but to give in. What was I supposed to do? Pass up the opportunity? Besides, I needed this. It was the perfect way to get my mind off my ex. It's not like I wanted to date the guy. I just wanted to have a little fun. Nothing could have prepared me for how much of a smooth talker he was. We chatted, we flirted, he kept buying us rounds. My girlfriends were starting to wrap up the night, but I wasn't ready to end things just yet. He invited me back to his apartment. Normally, I'd be too nervous to ever agree, but I guess the mixture of my breakup, the alcohol, and the fact that I was feeling adventurous got the better of me. He bought us one more round of drinks, but I don't remember him taking his shot of bourbon. I actually don't remember much after that. I remember stumbling to his car. I remember him buckling me into the passenger seat. Then, after that, everything just started hitting me in waves. My head swam, my vision blurred. I just watched as streetlights turned to trees before we pulled into a parking lot. It wasn't an apartment complex. It was a fucking Motel 6. I was too weak to fight. He kind of just grabbed me out of the passenger seat before guiding me up the stairs and toward his room. He threw me on the bed, his face looking cold and callous, and I was out like a light. When I woke up this morning, I was still in bed in that dingy motel room. I was in my underwear. Neither my bra nor my panties had been removed. It smelled of mildew, mold, and a faint scent of copper. I was groggy, and when I tried lifting myself up, a shooting pain ran down the length of my torso. It was a blinding kind of pain. My eyes shot down to my side, and what I saw made me nauseous. I threw up right there in the bed, sending another wave of pain through what I could now see was a row of stitches, running from my ribcage down to my waistline. Obviously, my mind went straight to what I thought was the worst case scenario. But the horrific part is that I don't think he stole something at all. I think he put something inside me. I can hear it ticking. I can see the faint glow of a screen beneath the stitches, and I am absolutely terrified to find out what it is. Police used my vehicle as cover while I'm still in it. So I drive a company box truck with tools and compartments all over it, and this morning, I stopped for gas and then pulled into a little side section of the parking lot to talk to my supervisor and plan my day. All of a sudden I hear driver step out and put your hands up. It gets repeated to more times before I look in my side view mirrors and see police officers on each side of my truck with guns drawn. From my perspective, seeing them in the mirrors, it looked the guns were pointed at me, and I actually dropped my phone and put my hands up and started yelling back, "My hands are up." They kept yelling, and I was seriously about to step out of the truck when I heard a woman start screaming, "Fuck you, come get me motherfuckers," etc. That's when I looked ahead and realized a woman in a car had pulled into that same side lot and was parked about 20 feet in front of me, and they were pointing the guns at her. The yelling back and forth went on for about 2 minutes before she suddenly jumped out of the car and started speed walking towards the officers yelling, shoot me, motherfuckers." I braced myself for the gunfire, but one of them tased her instead and dropped her about 3 feet in front of my truck, then ran up and started to cuff her, and she was trying to fight them, but the 2 officers overpowered her pretty quick and threw her in the cop car. Meanwhile, I realize I'm still sitting there in the middle of it all with my hands up and can hear my supervisor on the phone asking what the hell is going on. A couple more officers arrived, and from what little conversation I heard, it sounded like she committed a crime somewhere else and fled, and I guess the police spotted her car in that parking lot. So yeah, no coffee required to wake me up this morning. If you've reached the end of this video, thank you for watching my first video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. For more, make sure to check out my YouTube shorts as well. If you enjoyed the Reddit stories, make sure to let me know down below in the comments and say your favorite story.